Trust is a luxury you can't afford when you're sick and alone in a foreign country. I learned that the hard way when the woman who was supposed to keep me alive was slowly killing me for profit. Some people prey on your body, others prey on your hope. Rowena did both. If our stories resonate with you, don't forget to like, comment, and tell us where you're watching from. This story was shared with us by one of our longtime viewers. He asked us not to share his name, but wanted others to know what really happens when desperation meets opportunity. I moved to Cebu thinking I'd found paradise for my retirement. Cheaper living, warmer weather, and my pension could stretch 3 times further than back in Ohio. The condo I rented had a view of the ocean, and for the first few months I felt like I'd made the smartest decision of my life. What I didn't factor in was getting sick so far from everything I knew. The diabetes hit hard first, then my heart started acting up. Suddenly, I needed someone who understood my medications, my schedule, my body's rhythms. The local doctors were competent, but the language barrier made everything complicated. I was taking 7 different medications, and the timing had to be precise. Miss a dose of insulin, and I could end up in a coma. Take too much heart medication, and my blood pressure would crash. I was walking a tightrope every single day, and I was doing it alone. That's when my neighbor Bill mentioned Rowena. "She's a nurse," he said over beers on his balcony. "Takes care of expats like us. Professional, speaks perfect English. You should meet her." I was desperate enough to believe it. When you're 68 years old and your body is failing in a foreign country, you'll grasp at any lifeline thrown your way. The isolation was killing me almost as much as the diabetes. I needed someone, anyone, who could help me navigate this medical nightmare I'd found myself trapped in. Rowena arrived at my condo the next morning with a small bag and a warm smile. That immediately put me at ease. She was maybe 40, well-dressed, and spoke perfect English with just a slight accent that made her sound educated and trustworthy. She knew all the right things to say about blood sugar monitoring and heart medication timing. "Mr. Edwin, I see you taking metformin twice daily, yes? And the insulin before meals?" she asked, examining my medication bottles with what looked like professional expertise. She showed me a certificate from some nursing program in Manila. I didn't look too close at the details. I needed help, and she seemed more than capable. "I take care of you like family," she said, and for the first time in months, I felt safe. The relief was overwhelming. Here was someone who understood medical terminology, who could read prescription labels, who knew the difference between my morning and evening pills. "You need proper care," she continued. "Many expats here, they try to do everything alone. Very dangerous for man with your conditions." She moved into the spare room that same day, and I slept better that night than I had in weeks. Finally, I had a professional looking after me, someone I could trust with my life. "Don't worry anymore, Mr. Edwin," she said, as she organized my medications into neat rows. "I handle everything now." For 2 months, life felt manageable again. Rowena organized my pills in weekly containers, color-coded and labeled with precise timing instructions. She reminded me about meals, making sure I ate at consistent times to keep my blood sugar stable. She even drove me to doctor appointments in her beat-up Honda, translating when my English got too complicated for the Filipino doctors to follow. "Doctor says your heart is getting stronger," she'd tell me after each visit. "He very happy with your progress." She cooked Filipino dishes that were surprisingly good for my diet. Grilled fish with vegetables, chicken adobo with less salt, rice in smaller portions. I started feeling stronger, more stable. My morning blood pressure readings improved from dangerous to merely concerning. "See, I told you I take good care," she'd say, checking my glucose levels with the professional efficiency I'd hoped for. I was grateful beyond words. I increased her salary from 15,000 pesos to 25,000 and bought her things, a new smartphone, clothes from the mall, even sent 3,000 pesos to her family in Mindanao when she mentioned her mother needed medicine. "Kayo so kind, Mr. Edwin," she'd say. "Most employers not like you. They think we just servants, not real people." She was saving my life, and I knew it. The woman was worth every peso I paid her. "My last patient, he very mean," she'd tell me, while preparing dinner. Never say thank you, never care about my family problems, but you different. You have good heart. Around month 3, something changed, though I couldn't put my finger on what. My energy started dropping again, despite following the same routine Rowena had established. The morning readings were erratic, sometimes too high, sometimes dangerously low. I'd wake up dizzy, confused, with that familiar metallic taste in my mouth that meant my blood sugar was off. Rowena would rush to check my levels, adjust my medications, look genuinely concerned. "Your body is changing," she'd explain, frowning at the glucose monitor. "Diabetes is like that. Very unpredictable disease. We need to be more careful with dosages." She started giving me different amounts, sometimes doubling my insulin before dinner, other times cutting it in half. "Today you eat more rice, so more insulin," she'd say. "Yesterday you very active, so less medicine needed." It sounded logical. She was the medical professional after all. I trusted her judgment completely. But the episodes got worse. Some mornings I'd wake up so disoriented I couldn't remember where I was. Other times my heart would race so fast I thought I was having an attack. "This is normal adjustment period," Rowena assured me. "Your body learning new routine. Give it time." American bodies sometimes take longer to adapt to tropical climate. I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. The alternative, that something was seriously wrong, was too frightening to consider. "Maybe we need to call doctor," I'd suggest during particularly bad episodes. No, she'd say quickly. "Doctor visits very expensive. I can handle this." Trust me, I wasn't supposed to be home that Tuesday afternoon. My cardiologist appointment got cancelled at the last minute, so I came back early from the medical center. I heard Rowena on the phone in her room, speaking rapid Tagalog in a hushed, urgent tone. I couldn't understand most of it, but I caught a few English words mixed in. "Insulin, metformin, how much?" When I knocked on her door to let her know I was back, she quickly ended the call. "Oh, Mr. Edwin, you early today. Everything okay?" "With doctor?" She seemed flustered, which wasn't like her usual calm demeanor. "Appointment cancelled," I said. "Who are you talking to?" "Just my sister," she replied quickly. "She asking about mother's medicine." That evening, as she prepared my medications, I noticed my insulin pen felt lighter than it should have. I'd just opened a new one 2 days ago, but the indicator showed it was nearly half empty. I started paying attention to my medication bottles. Pill counts seemed off. My heart medication, the expensive stuff that cost $300 per bottle back in the States, was running out faster than it should have been. The metformin tablets looked fewer than they should be, after only 5 days since my last refill. But when I asked Rowena about it, she had explanations ready. "You were very sick last week, remember? I had to give you extra doses. Doctor said, it's okay to increase when blood sugar is high." Her answers sounded reasonable, but something felt wrong. I just couldn't figure out what. "Are you sure about these dosages?" I asked. "Of course," she said confidently. "I trained for this, Mr. Edwin. Trust my experience." I started secretly counting my pills, marking the insulin levels with a pen when Rowena wasn't looking. The discrepancies were real and getting worse. Medicine was disappearing faster than I was taking it. But Rowena was so attentive, so concerned about my health, always asking how I felt, always adjusting my care based on my symptoms. Why would she steal medications I needed to live? It didn't make sense. Maybe I was miscounting. Maybe my mind was playing tricks on me. The diabetes can cause confusion, especially when blood sugar levels are unstable. I told myself I was being paranoid, that the stress of living abroad was making me suspicious of everyone. Then I found the Facebook account. Rowena had been using my laptop to check something, and she'd forgotten to log out of her profile. I wasn't snooping intentionally. I just wanted to check my email. But there it was, her Facebook Messenger open with conversations in English about diabetes medicine for sale and authentic American prescriptions available. My stomach dropped, like I'd been punched. The messages were from just hours earlier. High-quality insulin pens, unopened bottles, one read. Metformin 500 million still in pharmacy packaging. Another message. Heart medicine very effective. American brand, much better than local. My hands shook as I scrolled through the conversations. She was selling my medications, the medications that kept me alive. Customer very happy with last order, read another message. Want to buy more insulin next week. I felt sick, not from diabetes, but from the realization that I'd been betrayed in the worst possible way. I pretended everything was normal while I gathered evidence. Every morning I took photos of my medication levels before Rowena organized them. I started recording our conversations about dosages on my phone, hidden in my shirt pocket. Today, we increase insulin because you eat birthday cake yesterday, she'd say. And I'd nod while the phone captured every word. Mr. Edwin, you must be very careful with diet. She'd lecture while secretly stealing the very medicine I needed to process any food safely. Late one night, while she slept, I searched online marketplace sites using keywords from her Facebook messages. There it was, my exact insulin brand, my heart medication, even my blood pressure pills. The seller's profile had her photos, the same warm smile that had made me trust her. She was advertising authentic American diabetes medicine, direct from patient, and hospital-grade heart medication never opened. The prices were astronomical. She was selling my $300 heart medication for 800 pesos per bottle, making a massive profit while slowly killing me. Each insulin pen I paid $60 for was being sold for 200 pesos. She had created an entire business around my medical needs, marketing my life-saving medications to other desperate people while giving me just enough to keep me functional, but not enough to be healthy. The online reviews were glowing. Best? Quality American medicine, one buyer wrote. My father's diabetes much better now. These people had no idea they were buying stolen medication from a woman who was slowly poisoning her own patient. Very professional seller, another review said. Medicine exactly as described. I was reading reviews of my own stolen medicine, and every positive comment felt like another nail in my coffin. I waited until she was preparing my evening medications, the ritual that had once comforted me, but now filled me with dread. She was counting out pills with her usual precision when I approached with my laptop. Rowena, we need to talk, I said, turning the screen toward her to show her online marketplace listings. Her face went completely blank for a moment, like she was processing what she was seeing. Then she started crying. Not gentle tears, but the kind of sobbing that shakes your whole body. Edwin, you don't understand, she said through the tears. My mother needs surgery for her heart. My nephew has cancer, only 8 years old. I only take little bit, not enough to hurt you. I make sure you always have enough. But the evidence was clear. She'd been selling more than half my supplies, playing Russian roulette with my blood sugar and heart medication to cover the theft. The mathematical reality was terrifying. I'd been getting maybe 40% of my prescribed dosages for weeks. I never wanted to hurt you, she sobbed. I just needed money for family. American medicine's so expensive here, but you get it so cheap from insurance. I thought maybe I can help other people too, make little money for family emergency. The way she explained it, she made it sound almost noble. But I could have died. I probably should have died. You don't understand how expensive medicine is here, she continued. My nephew's chemotherapy cost 50,000 pesos per month. My mother's heart surgery cost 200,000. Where I get that money? You get medicine for free, but we have to choose between medicine and food. Even caught red-handed, she was making herself the victim. She told me her whole story through. Tears that seemed genuine but felt manipulative. Her certification wasn't real. She'd been a caregiver at a private clinic that closed down 6 months ago. No nursing degree, no formal medical training beyond what she'd picked up watching real nurses work. She'd learned by watching, by necessity, by desperation. Her family was drowning in medical debt from her mother's heart condition and her nephew's leukemia treatments. American medicine's so expensive here, but you get it cheap from insurance, she repeated like a mantra. I thought, maybe I help other people too, poor families who cannot afford real medicine from pharmacy. In her twisted logic, she was Robin Hood, stealing from the rich American to help poor Filipinos who couldn't afford proper health care. She never saw herself as slowly killing me. You're so strong, Edwin. American medicine so good quality. I know you can handle little bit less while I help other families. The casual way she discussed my life, like I was just a resource to be managed and optimized, chilled me to the bone. She had calculated exactly how much medication she could steal while keeping me alive enough to not notice. It was cold, clinical, and terrifying. Other people need help too, she said. You have good insurance, you can always get more, but my nephew, he has nothing. My mother, she has nothing, you understand, right? She looked at me with those same kind eyes that had made me trust her, expecting me to sympathize with her position. I help 12 families with medicine I take from you, she said proudly. 12 families who can now afford to treat diabetes, heart problems, high blood pressure. You save so many lives, Edwin. In her mind, I should be grateful for the opportunity to help. I should have called the police immediately. The evidence was overwhelming, and what she'd done was attempted murder disguised as caregiving. Instead, I found myself almost understanding her desperation, which made me hate myself. The healthcare system here is brutal if you don't have money. People do die from treatable conditions because they can't afford medicine. I'd seen it myself. Families begging outside hospitals, children with obvious medical needs getting turned away from emergency rooms because they couldn't pay up front. But understanding doesn't excuse attempted murder. You could have killed me, I kept repeating, and each time the words felt more real, more terrifying. I know, she whispered, but you're strong, American medicine so good quality. I thought you could handle a little bit less. I make sure you never run out completely. The casual way she discussed nearly killing me, like it was a calculated business risk, made my blood run cold. She had spreadsheets, I realized. She'd been tracking my medication usage, calculating optimal theft amounts, managing my health like a portfolio investment. I watch you very careful, she insisted. When you get sick, I give you more medicine. When you feel good, I take little. Be it for other families. It was working good, right? You were getting better most days. In her mind, she'd found the perfect system. She could help her family and other patients, while keeping me just healthy enough to maintain the supply chain. I was livestock to her, a steady producer of valuable American medications that she could harvest and redistribute to maximize profit and social good. You should be proud, she said. Your medicine helped save my nephew's life. I gave her 24 hours to leave. No police, no charges filed, just gone. The threat of law enforcement was enough. She knew what she'd done was felony theft and reckless endangerment at minimum. She packed quickly, still apologizing, still trying to explain her position and justify her actions. Other families need help too, Edwin. You have so much. Insurance gives you everything for free. Even while packing, she was justifying her actions, making me the villain for stopping her charitable work. The families who buy medicine from me, they will suffer now, she said, folding her clothes with mechanical precision. Their children will get sick again. You think about that. Before she left, she did something that haunts me still. She counted out what remained of my medications, organized them by date and dosage, and wrote detailed instructions for my next caregiver. The clinical precision of it was horrifying. Even after being caught stealing my life-saving medicine, she maintained the professional facade until the very end. Make sure new nurse knows about your morning insulin, she said, writing notes in careful handwriting. And heart medicine must be taken with food, never empty stomach. Very important. She handed me the organized pills like she was doing me one final favor. I really did care about you, Edwin. I never wanted to hurt you. I just wanted to help my family and other people who need medicine. The sincerity in her voice was the worst part. She genuinely believed she'd found an ethical way to balance my life against her family's needs and her community's medical requirements. As she walked out with her single suitcase, she turned back one more time. Other patients will miss the medicine, she said quietly. You think about that too, okay? 12 families, Edwin, 12. Even in leaving, she was trying to make me feel guilty for stopping her operation. I hired a real nurse after that, licensed, verified, recommended directly by Cebu Doctors University. Hospital. Maria was older, more expensive, and absolutely legitimate with credentials I verified independently. My health stabilized within weeks once I was getting consistent, proper medication dosages according to my prescriptions. My blood sugar leveled out completely, my heart rhythm improved dramatically, and the dizzy spells disappeared entirely. But the trust was gone, maybe forever. I found myself counting pills obsessively, checking dosages against prescription labels multiple times per day, marking insulin levels with permanent marker and photographing everything. I installed a small camera in my bedroom, supposedly for security, but really to monitor whoever was handling my medication. I weighed my pill bottles daily, documented every dose in a notebook, kept photographs of everything with timestamps. Maria thought I was paranoid, which I absolutely was, but she indulged my new security measures without complaint or judgment. "Some people very bad," she said, when I explained what Rowena had done. "But most of us honest. You learn to trust," again slowly. I wanted to believe her, but every time she prepared my medications, I watched like a hawk, timing everything, counting everything, verifying everything. I made her show me her nursing license daily for the first month, called the hospital to verify her employment status, even hired a private investigator to check her background. The paranoia was exhausting, but I couldn't stop. Every pill, every dose, every medical interaction was now suspect. I still live in Cebu, but I'm different now. More careful, more suspicious, more aware of how desperation can turn care into exploitation, and how trust can become a weapon. The woman who promised to keep me alive had nearly killed me with calculated kindness and systematic greed disguised as professional health care. Sometimes late at night when I'm organizing my own medications now, I wonder how many other expats she's helped since then. How many other sick foreigners have become unwitting suppliers for her medical redistribution network? I hope none, but I suspect I wasn't her first victim, and I probably wasn't her last. Trust is a luxury I can't afford anymore, and every day I'm reminded that when you're vulnerable and dependent on others for your very survival, you become a target for people who see opportunity where you see desperation.